Hi, I'm Asha from Skatefresh. Welcome to Brighton. Today's video is all about quad skates and inlines, which are easier. And this is a question I'm asked all the time because people know that I do both. Now, most people assume that a quad skate is easier because there's less sideways wobble. And that is true, okay? An inline skate, you're gonna have to deal with, balancing on a blade, and you're gonna have to control your edges, which you don't need to do on a quad because you're sort of standing on a brick, okay? However, sideways stability is not the biggest problem. Going over backwards, so forwards, backwards stability is much more of an issue. And a quad skate has a much smaller wheelbase, right? So my 2 wheel points here are on the ground. If you compare that to an inline skate, the inline is much longer, and therefore it's going to be way more stable forwards and backwards, okay? So quad skates, not necessarily easier, and you're more likely to go over backwards on quad skates if you do the wrong thing, okay? So that's the sort of stability issue. Let's talk about how quad skates and inline skates are different. You can see that an inline skate has 2 straps at the top on the ankle, and most quad skates do not. They just have laces. So let's look on my feet what that means. So in order to get the correct knee bend when you're skating, you need to bend your knees, and on an inline skate these straps are going to support you, particularly the top ankle strap, right? So you bend your knee and you are supported. On a quad skate you're going to bend your knee, and really there's only this bow here of your laces and there's not as much support. So on a quad skate, most quaddies find it harder to bend their knee correctly simply because they have less support. So again, that is a disadvantage of quads, advantage of inlines. And there are some quads that come with an ankle strap at the top. Those are a great idea because they're going to give you more support, all right? So finally, let's talk about the issue of steering, because that really is where things are a little bit different. I'm going to show you that on the tarmac. Okay, so let's talk about steering. So on an inline skate, to steer, you need to move your knee left and right very gently to change the angle of your wheel, and that is what's going to make you go around a corner. You do exactly the same thing on a quad skate. However, if you only do the same amount of movement with your knee on a quad skate, your trucks are not moving that much. So you have to do more movement with your knee to get your trucks to move. So is it easier or harder to do less movement or more movement? It depends. For a lot of people, the subtlety of inlines is more difficult, yeah? For other people, the amount you have to move your knee is more difficult, yeah? The point is, moving your knee is how you steer. You've got to do it both on both of these skates, but you need more knee movement for quads and more subtle knee movement for inlines, okay? So let's see them both in action. Alright, I hope this video helped in your decisions of whether to skate on quads or inlines. Fundamentally, they are very, very similar. The same rules apply. I teach quaddies and inlines in the same classes. Absolutely everything is the same apart from stopping. So, on quads you'll have a stopper on the front to drag behind you. On inlines you'll have a heel brake to push in front of you. But essentially, wheels are wheels and the same rules apply. Now, one thing just to bear in mind, if you want to skate on both, and you're a beginner at the moment, I would, learn one first and then later switch to the other. Try not to learn, inlines and quads simultaneously, because your body may get a bit confused with that difference between subtlety and doing things more, right? So learn one, then you can transition to the other, okay? I forgot to say at the beginning, one of the other big differences is quad skates have a slight raised heel. Most quads have a raised heel. Most inlines do not. And, it means that on quads, you are naturally raised up on the heel, which puts your weight more on the ball of the foot. Again, an advantage for quads. So, you know, when you add them all up, it ends up, they each have the same amount of advantages and disadvantages. Okay, so the choice is very personal. I hope this helps. See you next time. Keep your questions coming.